training.tv. My name is Margaret. I'll be our broadcast engineer for today. I'm here with the wonderful Honza and Vince, who have been on pretty much every, even Thursday, I think is the designation officially, to hang out and share really cool facts about the FileMaker platform with us. We do this 5 days a week. I know, it's wonderful. So we can talk about FileMaker 5 days a week. We are talking about multi-keys and key ranges today with Honza and Vince, which would be awesome. I'm here. Honza is from runs 24U. Do you run 24U? Do you own that? I thought you did, Honza. Or am I?
Well, it's actually two for you, and it's named that way because it was me and my friend founding it in 2000. So we were two initially, so that's why we call it two for you, as a two of us for you as a
Oh,
client.
okay. So that's why. Okay, that's why it's that specific pronunciation. Got it. Honza is from that, and then Vince. Were you part of the founding of Beeswax, Vince? I know that you're.
Well, I was there a long time, over 20 years ago at this point, and we were 5 people. We're over
Yes.
100 people, and so it's grown leaps and bounds since I joined, and yeah, so it was existing before I joined, but it was a small group of people, and um, you know, Julian had his company, and it was rolling. So, and I moved to the Bay Area, and I joined the Bees.
Which is fantastic. I have a sample file that I'll be sharing with you today. But if you're looking to look into this, go check this out. Honza is famous for his frankly fantastic work on measuring how fast FileMaker can go and performance stuff. Beeswax has Inspector Pro 8 out for free, which we'll probably have some sessions on at some point in the future when we're a little less busy talking because we're looking to upgrade FMSP and trying to figure out what scripts we're changing and all that. So that'll be a fun discussion. So, with that all being said, I'm kind of happy to hand it over to you two. What are we doing today? What new things am I going to learn?
Well, we wanted to have the follow-up discussion on indexes and creative ways to leverage indexes. And so Hansa and I talked about this a little bit, and this is going to be a little bit about multi-keys and what those are, how you can use them, etc. In creative ways. So extending your like, let's say you have computer literacy, FileMaker literacy. In that sense, extending your FileMaker literacy and vocabulary in terms of capabilities and what these would be useful for. So I think
And I
Hansa,
think
you
I
go
think
ahead, Hansa.
multi-keys are a great topic for everyone who is being asked, okay, so what is that FileMaker about and why is it so good or why do you think it's so good? So multi-keys is actually one of the benefits of FileMaker compared to other databases because as Vince will show you briefly, um, you can with multi-keys in FileMaker you can create many-to-many relationships between two tables without having to create an intermediate table. Tell me about other databases that can do this.
I did not realize that was a unique FileMaker feature. There's a lot of features because I grew up with FileMakers. There's a lot of stuff in FileMaker that I assume must be replicated across database software elsewhere, and then I get proven very wrong.
So,
So,
Vince,
okay. So yes.
what do you
Okay.
have to show?
Yes. Let me share my screen, and I have a simple refresher just to, and so I have I sent a typical project and tasks table that I have joined up here. So I have just confirm with Margaret. You can see my screen correctly. Everything's
I
good.
can. Everything's
Okay.
shiny. We're good.
All right. So we have a project table. I have two fields in the project table, the ID and the name. And we're not going to dig into too many details here, but just a quick refresher here. And I have a task table with an ID, a foreign key, and the name of the task. I join them on the ID of the project to the foreign key in the task table. Very straightforward stuff. On the project layout, I'm going to build a portal here off of task, and I'm going to show the name of each task. Whoops, sorry, that's really small portal. Okay, so I'm going to show the name of each task, and next to it, I'll show the ID. So, and I'll make this portal, let's say 5 rows. So there you have it. So I have one project, the ID is 1. And if I look at the tasks table in this other list, you'll see I have 2 tasks. I have to look at it as a table view. I have, do the laundry and shopping, right? So everybody, if you start with FileMaker, this is, very typical thing you can do without any problems. And let's say I have another project, my second project. Okay. Oops. Sorry about that. All right. And then I'll create some tasks for that project. So this will be probably ID 2 and ID 2, right? So get gas, if you have a gas-powered car, or charge car if you have an electric car. So I have 2 tasks here on this project and 2 tasks here on this project, right? So what would happen, and I'm assuming I could probably do this here with this key. What would happen if I put, I change this ID field in the project table to a text field? And what would happen if I did 1 and 2? Wow, look at that. How'd that happen? Right? So I just created a multi-key, right? So I have 2 values. I'm on the project table. Now I have, not that you'd want to be doing this kind of thing on your primary keys and modifying these kinds of things, but just to give you a quick introduction. Now I have 2 values, and both of these values will match on all the related values that this field is matching on. And so now I'm seeing all the tasks, and if I put so that's the ID of the task. That's the ID of the task. And I'll just also add the ID of the project, right? So you have the name of the ID of the task, the name of the task, and the foreign key of the project. And you'll see that indeed I have matched on the tasks that belong to project 1 and 2. And so this, when you stumble upon this, you start to think like, wow, that's really powerful, because you normally would have a primary key, 1 value related to its other values. And so if you extrapolate that out, it can lead to some interesting things that you can do. So this is just to get you started to think about that. So let's hop into this other example that I put together. So I sell gym equipment. And
Let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt
yeah,
you for a moment.
go for it.
Just one thing that I recall when I
Hmm.
first heard about multi-keys, it
Uh-huh.
was not using multiple values in a single field. Uh,
Okay.
do you know what the first multi-keys people were using? Sorry. Do you know what people were using for multi-keys before this technique?
Ranges.
No,
Was it ranges?
it was a repeating field.
Oh,
So
Oh, I see.
many people have already forgot about repeating fields, but it's something that existed in FileMaker before relationships. And
Okay.
when they came up with a relationship, this was even like a natural way how to have multiple keys in a single record. Because if you have a repeating field, you can put different values into a single field, right?
Right.
And then the relationship connects based on all the values in that field.
So are you saying, HOnza, if I change this to repetitions, that I could do the same thing that I just did, and taking this value out of here, right?
Exactly.
And
And put it
and putting
into another
into
repetition.
the second slot. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah.
I forgot about repetitions. That's a great reminder. Thank you.
Uh-huh. So
Very
this
cool.
was my first connect to like many-to-many relationship before I realized that I could do it without repetitions.
Very cool.
See, I've never messed with
Anything?
repeating fields in my entire life, so I don't really understand them entirely. So, but it's cool to
They
know.
were they were a
Yeah,
big deal when you first started, and in a sense, they're still very useful. Just have
yeah,
to
but
know.
just
Yeah.
for different things than they were used for before relationships. So
Mhm.
when FileMaker came with relationships, there were like opinions of repeating fields not being obsolete, and they're still useful, but just for different things. The nice thing about repeating field is that it behaves like an array. If you have a
Yeah.
little bit of like a programming background and you're used to arrays, then repeating fields will feel exactly like an array.
Got it.
Yeah. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, if I built a calculation on this repeating field, I would get a carriage return list of values. Correct? If
Not really.
no,
No,
no, I don't think so.
no, no.
But it's
You,
behaving in the same way.
it is behaving the same way, but the point is because of how repeating fields work before relationships, every
Mm.
calculation that refers to repeating field is supposed to have repetitions as well, and basically it's applied on the same repetition number. If you create a calculation that's not uh, vector, that's
Uh-huh.
scalar, you
Mhm.
have to explicitly mention which repetition you are referring to. There are exceptions, and I think actually using the list function could do what you mentioned, giving you a list of the values separated by the character return. But I'm not 100% sure about it. You may
Well,
want to try.
well, let's see. Let's see what we get here. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Any other comments, Hansa, before we move on? All right.
No,
So,
that was just a reminder because I recalled when I first
mm,
learned about many to many relationships, and it was not about one field and multiple values in it. It was in a repeating field. So
yeah.
I find it
No,
cool.
but that's great to bring that back because uh, repeating field was a big deal when you first started FileMaker. A lot of cool techniques were around with regards to field repetitions, etc. So great that you mentioned that. Thank you. Uh, okay, so this other example I put together is let's say you sell uh, gym equipment and you want to take some orders, and the orders that you want to take are going to be based on what's available in your inventory. So, but the inventory could be quite complex in that the machines are configured a certain way and they're available in different colors, and they have different kinds of machines. But you also have availability, maybe for logistic reasons, in which countries they're available, etc. So you could build a way to for the order intake to specify the country, to specify the color, what machine you want, and whether it's imperial or metric. And presto, you have and these, pardon the obfuscated names of machines or product codes here, but here's the product code of, the names of these machines that it would be available to you. But so behind the scenes, you're seeing like this match, which is YS 2563, right? And that's the one that's matching down here at the bottom. But what's interesting, I'll change the code here to be three characters, three numbers. So you're seeing two other ones. So what's interesting about this example is that it's relating on all these values, okay, as different predicates. And what if we look at these other values, WRT 738. So let me go find that one. So find. So you'll notice that this one actually has different countries it's available in. different colors, different machines, and all these machines are also available in metric and imperial units. And it's available. So this flag is just a way to say, you know, it's available or not. So it'll disappear from the list. So it's available, or, you know, let's say it's discontinued or whatnot. So this is an additional capability to just, you know, turn on a flag in case you're setting up a machine in your inventory, etc. What's really powerful about this is the way this works. So for example, I could get rid of all of these and say any machine as well. And it should, oh, it's not working. Oh no, my demo is not working. I thought it was gonna work. I made a mistake here. All right, so I gotta troubleshoot that. It was working before. Anyway, so, but let's look at the behind the scenes here. So the way these get set up is each one of these, there's a slide panel here. You can choose the different countries. You can choose the different colors, you know, the machines, and whether, oh yeah, I think it's because I just need to leave it blank. Yeah, that's what it was. No, it's not that. Oh, sorry about that. So anyway, so there's the different options, and these kind of like work like very similar to multi-keys, and but in a different way. So what's going on behind the scenes here is I have a request table or an order table, and I have a catalog table. In the catalog table, I have the ID, the country, the color, the machine, the name of the machine, and the flag it's available. But I also have these calculation fields, and so I'll get the list of countries, and then I'll add, you know, also another word that says any country. And so if I leave that, if I actually don't specify something, I can it can match on any country, but I think I have to do that calculation also on the other side. I might have gotten these crossed, but the basic idea is that I match on the country with any country. I match on the color. So sorry, here this one. So I build my different predicates here, and also the flag that says it's available, and those when those match, that gives you the opportunity to see which machines or combination of machines would match all these values or possible values that exist in any one of these fields. And so like if I go through different records, you'll see, like if I create a new record and I'll say I want to see any machine that is in Japan, the electric blue treadmill, and it's in metric. And obviously not here. Japan, electric blue. Let's say I add you know, treadmill over here, and there you go. There's that value. But I think I got something crossed there. I'm not sure, because it was working with also any machine, but I think I might have the predicates reversed.
I think that's what you want on the green window. Well, in the filter you specify any machine, and then it will match any machine. You have it in the end of the list.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. There it is. Okay. So,
Yeah.
Japan electric blue. So, like, let's say, you know, let's say I have this that's WTR. That's still valid.
Yeah.
And let's say treadmill. Yeah.
It's still showing because your calculation is adding the any machine value to the machine list. So
yeah, exactly. So in this case, I don't have treadmill, and that means any machine that is in this list would show up. So yeah, and even if I had this empty, then any machine would be there, but that's probably not good, you know, good data architecture, let's say. But yes, you're right. Then any machine, any unit, and then I can see what's there. So anyway, this was a small example.
So basically on the left window, if you select any any country, any color, any machine, any unit, then you get the complete list of all products that
Yeah,
are available.
there you go. Where is it? This any machine, any unit. There you go. There's the complete list of all of them. There's only I think there's only 14. Yeah, there's only 14, so that's all of them. Cool. So anyway, I definitely can share this file. It's not no big deal about it, but I just was playing around with it. But I think what's interesting is uh, I had a small project recently where I was always thinking of multi-keys in one direction, but as a matter of fact, as long as the fields are indexes on both sides, you can use the multi-key from both sides. And that led me to solving a problem that I was having with looking at some data and trying to find some matches. And that led me to a better solution for that problem. So incredibly powerful what you can do with this. And so, yeah, I'll leave it there and I'll pass it over to HOnza.
I have a quick
And if
Yeah,
anybody
question.
has
so
any questions,
I think it's worth mentioning that basically, as you mentioned, you can have multi-keys on both sides. So basically, when you have two fields matched in a
mhm.
relationship and both have multiple values in them, uh, any value match will match those records. So if you have A, B, and D in the first one, and B, C, and E in the on the other side, as long as there is at least one value match, it's going to match those records. And another thing important to mention, if you are using numbers, uh, basically to have multiple values separated by character returns, you have to have the field formatted as text. But in order to make multi-keys work, you can actually have a different type of value on the other side, which is a number, and it's still going to work. Normally a mismatch of the value types is
Mhm.
going to break your relationships, but for some reason, probably in order to make multi-keys work, Claris made it work so that when you have a list of numbers separated by character returns in a text field, it's still going to work in a relationship where a number is on the other side.
Yeah. So very good point that you make, HOnza, because sometimes we think of creating relationships based on exact data. So like I have a key and I have a match for that key on the other side. The thing I wanted to point out is what you said with A, B, D and B, F and E, right? As long as you have one item that matches in the list on both sides, then it'll match, right? So it's really interesting because when you think about it, you might think like, well, it's like a relationship, so it has to match all the values that match based on, like in the first example, I had one and two, and those two matched to all the items on the task side. That's because one and two exist on in all of the across all those records, right? One exists on two of them, and two exists on the other two. So you're seeing all of the records. But it's a very good point that you make, and I just wanted to say that don't think of relationships with multi keys as having to match all the items. Very important.
Uh,
Cool.
qu-
Well, David is asking whether the only way to separate multi-keys is by character return or return. The answer is a little bit tricky because Unicode knows, I believe, five different line breaks, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, FileMaker is not consistent in how it treats them in different situations. I don't recall exactly the rules. The better way to deal with it is uh, if you end up having the other line breaks in your fields, uh, to avoid issues, replace them with character returns so that FileMaker behaves consistently in all cases. One example is. Um, I believe when you have a like non-breaking line break, sorry, like the I don't know how it's called. I think it's Unicode code 3132 or something. Uh, don't
Hmm.
recall, don't take my word for it, but the way it behaves is that when you get the value count of that value, it will not take it as a line break. But when you use get value and extract value from it, it will actually take it as line break or something like that. So beware that there are different kinds of line breaks than just character return, and they don't behave very well in FileMaker.
It's interesting because I always thought there were only two kinds of line breaks, like the Mac one and the line feed or whatever that thing is on Windows or Unix. Or I always remember the other one, but I could never get that one right. And so I learned something that I didn't know. There's
I
multiple line
Yeah.
feeds,
I
line
can look
breaks.
it up. I can look it up later, but I know
Yeah,
that
that's
I was even reporting it to Claris that the inconsistent behavior is potentially breaking solutions.
I
okay.
Okay,
have
any more questions before we go more advanced?
I have a really quick fun. Is there a limit to how many multi-keys you can have on each side? I mean, I assume you wouldn't want to put like 20 on each side. That'd probably be a bit much, right? Or is that
Well,
actually okay?
I
Well,
guess it's the container side, the size of the
I,
field.
I believe it's only limited by the size of the field, which means I think you can have 2 GB of text in the text field.
Okay,
But
figure.
you should beware that FileMaker is then going to evaluate every single value to and because evaluating relationships is actually making queries. If you have a multi-key, it's actually going to run multiple queries to find those related records. So having too many values in a multi-key is going to slow down the relationship evaluation. And that actually takes me to my example. So I'm going to share my screen now. My example is another use case for multi-keys, and that's actually uh, improving performance of relationships. So for this example, I have used the use case of making hotel room bookings. And Margaret is just sharing the link to download this example, so you can download it and try it on your own. I'll show you the structure briefly. So I have rooms table where I have 1,075 rooms. It's a fictitious 30-floor hotel with 4 different kinds of rooms. Then I have a bookings table and room types, and I'll shortly explain why I also have a dates table. When I look at the data tables, um, so for rooms, I have something like this. So each room is defined by the room number, room type, which is one of four, double, single, suite, twin. And I just got a randomized generation that where I told ChatGPT to give me like sample data with 30 floors, and from floor one to whatever it was these kinds of rooms and so on. So I got this generated, and then for bookings. I'm actually recording arrival date, departure date, and room type, and also room count, and a unique booking reference, and status, which can be again one of four: cancelled, confirmed, paid, and tentative. Obviously, only the cancelled one does not actually occupy that room. The other one do. And if you do simple math in this hotel in a single year, uh, I have almost 400,000 billable nights. So right now in this sample database, I have only about 49,000 bookings. And if I omit the canceled ones, I get 39,000. So it's about 10% of the total capacity for the year 2026. Only 10% occupied. Uh, and then what's obviously the core task of any booking system is when I enter some request, for instance, I would like to make a booking for starting 20th of February and going until, let's say, 8th of March, and I would like suite. So let me check. Uh, and I want to check whether there are any rooms available, right? So that's the primary task of a booking system. For this example, I have simplified it. So I'm looking for specific room type. Normally, you would just specify the number of guests, and the system would have to find all different room types that are actually available for these dates so that you can choose from them. And the system would be offering you the most expensive ones, most prominently, of course, so that the hotel can make more money. Here I'm doing just that simple task for a single room type. Normally you would loop through that, through all the different room types, so it will take more time to check the availability. And now I click this button. This is my first way to check the availability. And you see that it took me a little bit over 100 milliseconds to figure out that there are no rooms available for the dates that I chose. When I choose, let's say, double room, try it again, it takes 140 milliseconds. If I do a longer period, like span across multiple months, and check again, it takes me almost a second to find out that there are no rooms available. Uh, I was originally designing this intending to just connect the uh, request with the bookings to find whether there is an overlap between bookings and the date range.
Mm-hmm.
But I very quickly figured out that I was getting negative numbers in terms of number of available rooms. And it took me a few moments to figure out what was my mistake. And the problem is, uh, I can perhaps bring up maybe text edit, a new document just to show. So, for instance, I have like this is the chart of my room bookings where let's say this is like a timeline, and then I have one booking which goes like this, and another booking that goes like this, and another booking that goes like this. And the problem was that because these two bookings are not overlapping, I should not be counting, adding them up. But what my relationship was simply returning all bookings that were at least somehow overlapping with my request. So
Oh.
it so I was actually calculating the number of bookings, which was three. Let's imagine that you have just one room. If if you have one room and you have the bookings like this, it's still valid, right? Because one booking is ends here, another starts here, and so on. So you still have only one room occupied by those three bookings, but finding those three bookings through a direct relationship and calculating the number of them, you get three, which is not the correct value. So what I ended up having to do is having an intermediate table here, which is the dates table, where I have a record for every single date in the year. So when I go to the dates, you will see that I have a record starting from 1st of January 2026, and every record represents a single day. And in the relationship here, I first look for all the dates that are matching the request by comparing whether the date is bigger or equal than the desired arrival date, and whether the date is also smaller than the desired departure date. The different predicate here is because I only want to count the starting day of every night, because the hotel rooms are actually booked for nights, not for days. So I don't count the departure date because that night starts a day earlier. So with these two predicates, I'm actually doing a relationship that compares whether the value on the other side is greater or equal than the value on the left side. And if you were on some of the previous live streams where I was talking about these predicates, you know that this is not very well performing, because unlike equal predicate, in this case, FileMaker has to traverse to all the index to find all the values that are greater than the one that we are looking for. So it's not that easy to connect the related values. On the other side, I have a similar relationship where I am actually matching the bookings to the same date. And this way, I can, on the dates table, here calculate all the bookings for the specific room type that are matching that specific date. So for instance, when I'm booking for the whole January, for every day in January, I calculate the number of bookings matching that day. And from all that range, I'm taking the maximum, and that's what is the most occupied date in that date range, and whether that exceeds, or sorry, is slower or equal than the number of rooms minus the number of rooms that I'm wanting to book. That gives me whether I have rooms available or not. So that's how I am returning that in a relationship. But so for instance, when I select a shorter time frame like 2 days, check it, you see that the corresponding dates are just 27th and 28th of February. And for each of those days, I see here number of rooms booked. I can look at them. So these are all the bookings for that day. And it's 490 out of 440 available rooms. So I can select a long period. Again, this is all occupied. So I'll try to look a little bit into the future and choose April. Let me find some available date, or maybe a different room. It's crazy how full the hotel is, even though only 10% of its capacity, even though only 10% of the capacity is actually booked.
Huh.
Weird. There may be an error in what's showing. Crazy. Anyway, so I just have some range here, and I have some evaluation time. In this case, it's 1 second and 400 milliseconds. So what I wanted to talk about is the evaluation method. So just to finish that thought, this is how I calculate the rooms available. So I take the number of rooms of that specific kind or type, and I subtract the maximum number of rooms booked in that date range. So, as I mentioned, the biggest issue here is the relationship predicates using greater than or equal or less than in this case. So, how can I make that faster? And the idea comes from multi-keys. So instead of doing greater than or equal, I can build a list of all the dates from the arrival date and departure date and use that as a equal relationship, like in this case. So you see that there is an equal predicate. So I have a list of dates on one side and comparing that to the date on the other side. And that way I'm avoiding those slow relationships. And the same between the booking and the date table. So when I try to calculate the availability using this method, it takes just 100 milliseconds.
Got it. Okay, so basically
So
you
it's
combined all
it's
the information into one key on each side.
so exactly. So it's just it's about 13 times faster in this case. And this is what is the list of dates that goes into the relationship here. And again, when I populate one of those relationships for the bookings, here are all my bookings. And what I use as a second side of the relationship again is the list. So for instance, here is a booking for 3 nights. So you see that there are 3 days here. It's actually date converted to a number because numbers are much simpler to evaluate for a relationship than if it was like a date. Also, this way I can avoid all the issues with the different date formats. So basically, what I'm doing is I am converting in the date list. I'm using this custom function, and in that custom function date list, I'm actually converting the date to a number
That's an
because
interesting trick.
that's a you like a consistent way how to represent the date as a relationship key. So those are the relationship multi keys that are matching my bookings to the booking request. Now, uh, when I have and that takes me back to question how many keys can I have in a single field? So if this range goes really crazy, if I like put a year, 2 years in that range, then you will see that this list gets really long because I have like over maybe over 700 values there.
Yes.
So in this case, it took me 190 milliseconds to evaluate. So what if I try it a little bit differently? And just for this example, because I finished it earlier today, uh, I didn't yet get to a point where this third version will be faster, but there is a threshold from which uh, the number of values in the multi-key is actually going to cause performance issues as well. And in this case, what I am doing is I have these crazy, like simplified value keys. And to explain what that is, I'll bring up a data view over here because for this I have another custom function called dates range. And the dates range, and I will show it on numbers. So for instance, if I want to have a range from number 150 to number 199, I can, let's say, split the whole range of possible numbers into chunks of size that I define. I can have the chunk of the size 5 or 7, which will be a week. 7 days is a week. Or I can have a range of, let's say, 20. And what this does is basically, for simplicity, I will start with 10. So when I use 10 as the chunk size, basically I start with the number 0 and up to number 9 is the first chunk. So anything from 0 to 9 would be arranged 0 to 9 as a single
Okay.
value. If I have an incomplete chunk, for instance, I start with 1, I need to list all the individual values because I need to exclude that 0. Uh,
Oh, okay.
so for instance, when I start with 8 and end with 15 or maybe 25, you see I get 8, 9, then 10 to 19 as a single value, and then I get the remaining values here. Uh, so this way I can, based on if I know what typically is the size of my range, I can optimize the multi-keys to have as few values as possible in the most typical cases. And by limiting the number of values in the multi-key, I'm limiting the number of queries that FileMaker has to run to evaluate the relationship.
Okay, so this is not faster than the until you hit a certain this is faster past a certain threshold of values that you're shoving into the single field, is what you're telling me?
The speed until certain threshold is similar because still it's multi-key,
Mm-hmm.
and there are other operations. Like in my case, I'm not only connecting the relationships, but I'm also calculating the maximum value. So there are multiple different operations happening, and the relationship connection itself is not the biggest part of that, or there are other parts taken into account. But in a solution that our client was using as a booking system for um, rental equipment for musicians, they
Mm-hmm.
had like few millions of bookings in the database. And this is just a sample file. I have just 40,000 bookings here.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, if you have a hotel with 30 floors, after 10 years, you will have over a million bookings. So maybe 10 million. So I'm now working with a very small data set. I
Mm-hmm.
even built a script that generates random bookings, so I can just run this script and it creates new bookings in the database. Uh, and you see that I have a 51% fail rate or success rate. So like every second booking fails because it randomly selects a date range that's not available. Uh, but if I let it run long enough and fill up, let's say, 70% of the hotel capacity, all the calculations will become slower. And at some point, I'm going to reach the threshold where the third method, using the smaller number of multi-key, is
Mm-hmm.
going to start getting faster.
Got it. That makes sense.
And it's also a good example of that. Uh, if you ask me what method is faster, is it method A or is it method B? And the point is that it depends. That's the only correct answer in all cases, because performance of any algorithm depends on the data set that you are working on. And what really matters is how quickly the time grows with the data set. So what in a long term, what you are looking for are the methods or algorithms that grow that slow down as slow as possible with the data growing. Because if you have small data set, you don't really care about microseconds or milliseconds. But as your database grows, you start caring. And if you have used a method that becomes slows down very quickly with the growing data set, that you're going to get into trouble much sooner. So that's why it's important to think in context of the data set, and especially when you have large data sets and long ranges, like here when I have like multiple months in this case, then using less keys in the relationship is going to help a lot.
The other important point I think that Hansa was mentioning is that you're getting away from the less than or equal to and greater than or equal to predicates, which are extremely slow. And this
Hmm.
is allowing you to use the equal predicate. And
Exactly.
yeah. Mm.
Again, that's another great benefit of multi-keys, which again would be difficult to implement in other databases. But here we can benefit from that, and instead of taking 1 second to evaluate this, we can have it evaluated in just 120 milliseconds, which is great. And not many people know about it, and so they don't use it. But this is a very good way to implement, very good reason to use multi keys, because it really a little gives us at least 10 times faster way to get to the result.
I
Now,
guess, Hansa, one comment I have is, you know how you have your custom function to chunk the to make the range. I
mhm,
guess I guess if you look at the average stay in the hotel, you'd want it to be related to the number of days that
exactly.
is,
Mhm.
yeah, right. So that
Yeah,
you maximize that.
so basically, if you want to optimize this third method as much as possible, what you would be looking at is some like sample of data, and use such chunk size that generates the least number of keys in most cases.
Yep. This is great. This is awesome.
And by the way, something that's not used in this example, but we have actually had a use for it in the other solution. Here I am using that intermediate table with dates. So on one side, I always have one key. But if you have like two multi-keys on both sides, and you are comparing date ranges, then it's a little bit more difficult. And what we came up with is there's one more parameter here, and that's called include partial segments or chunks. So for instance, if I start with 148 and end with 202, so you see that there is a one chunk which would be 140 to 149, which is not included here because only two out of those 10 values are being used here. But if I change this parameter to 1, I get those partial chunks included as well. So if you implement this relationship directly between multi-key and multi-key, uh, what can help you is that you actually evaluate it twice. For the first time with using partial chunks on one side, so the second time using partial chunks on the other side, and then you do join those two lists, eliminate duplicities, and you again get a very quickly all the matches that are colliding between those two data sets. It's a little bit difficult to understand, but again, even if you are using ranges on both sides, this can be done without the greater or lower predicates. Okay, any questions for now before I come up with homework for everyone watching us?
Homework, eh? Mostly people just saying this is cool. This is a really interesting way to think about it, which is true. I hadn't thought about it. Like even like the basic idea of converting dates into numbers, so you don't have to deal with the multiple kind of date type formats that you run into, never occurred
Hmm.
to me as a thought. So,
Okay, so to the homework. I have a brain food for you.
mm-hmm.
Since FileMaker, since Claris released the new functions and new script step, the script step is go to list of records,
Yes.
and the function is get uh, record IDs from found set, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we get even faster thing than relationships. We can go to a different layout and populate a set of records, knowing their IDs without even querying the server. That's absolutely the fastest way how to navigate to specific list of records. And I was thinking how I could leverage that for this solution to make it even faster. I didn't finish it, but I started, and that's the homework. Try to try to start with this idea and finish it. So basically here I have a date range from the 1st of January to the 23rd of April. What is the fastest way to populate those dates in the dates table? And now the idea. So when I populate the dates, open the dates table again, I'm using one more trick here. And I will show you what that trick is. I'll add a calculation getting record the internal record ID of that record. And I can make it unstored because we don't have to store it. So I will add it to this table so you can see it.
Awesome.
And this is an undocumented thing in FileMaker. But the point is, if you have a fresh new table in FileMaker and start creating records, the internal record IDs are sequential numbers starting from 1. So I created this table and I just generated right now 1004 records there. And I never delete any record here. And I basically, instead of putting the date there as a value, I calculate the date from the record ID just by adding some minimum date as a starting point. So I decided that the first record will represent the 1st of January 2026. So that's what I put in this constant or calculation. And because the first record ID is 1, this way I get the 1st of January 2026 in the first record, and so on. So by doing this, I know for any date how to calculate the record ID in this table for that date. So if I have a range like here from the 1st of January to the 23rd of April, I know, and I'll show you in the debugger, I know what the record ID range is going to be. So the fastest way to populate those date records is this. I set the range based on the dates, and this is the range. Sorry. So it's 1 to 112. This is the date range. From the first day of 2026 to the 112th day in the year 2026. And then I can then pass this very simple value to go to list of records, and that's it. So I get these dates
Mm-hmm.
in here. When I change the range, for instance, to be 12th of March until 27th of March, again, I run the script and I get exactly that range of dates. But I get it the absolutely fastest way FileMaker can do it.
This
Even 100 times faster than a relationship.
this is cool. This is very cool. I hadn't considered that until you
So
brought it up
so
that you
so
could use
so
that.
this is the idea. I have not finished it into a solution. So that's your homework. Try to leverage
Yes.
this idea and implement the fastest possible way to calculate the availability of rooms for a booking. And that's it.
That's
That's it
fantastic.
for
Very,
today.
yeah,
Uh, Thank you.
very
I learned a
cool.
lot watching this as always. I always learn new things watching you too. Always cool seeing advanced FileMaker developers and all of their knowledge popping up and toss it on to us. So thank you both very much.
And now I'm looking at Vince and I see the brain food is actually working. He's thinking a lot.
You planted the seed, HOnza.
Yeah, you know, yeah, I don't want to start, another rabbit hole, but yeah, this is very cool, Hansa. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. With that being said, unless you two have any more nuggets to share with us to blow our minds, I'm gonna wrap us up. Are we good?
Very good.
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. Thank you both very much. I look forward to seeing you two in 2 weeks again, I believe. So,
Well, not me, unfortunately. Vince will be
oh,
alone in 2 weeks here, but Vince, are you going to talk a little bit about AI next time?
Yes,
woo, always
I'll
fun.
talk about MCP and how to Claris MCP and how to set it up and that kind of thing. So we'll dig
Ooh,
into that.
that'll be a fun topic.
Might have some other goodies along those lines. We'll see.
Uh, People are interested in your sample file, by the way, Vince.
Oh,
So,
okay. I'll send it to you, Margaret. It's
oh,
really,
it's
yeah.
pretty simple, but I
This,
get why people want to look at it. So,
yeah, of course.
all right.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. I'll make that available to
Bye,
y'all
everyone.
tomorrow. Bye.